Hello Gems, Leah from Red Emerald Yoga. Today I'm back to answer another question. How do you choose your second tarot deck? Well, that depends what your intention is. Why are you purchasing a second tarot deck? Is it because you really don't like your first tarot deck? Do you find it difficult to connect to? Or have you connected with your first tarot deck and maybe it's time to branch out into your next one? Oh, you know what? I just realized I don't even have my second tarot deck. Let me go grab it. Okay, I'm back. So I just added this one to my pile. This is not a comprehensive pile by any means. Now, when I first started reading tarot and I thought, oh, the only deck that I will ever have or use, the only deck I'll ever own is this deck right here. My traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck. Okay, this is actually my favorite deck. It's well worn in. I love the way it reads. I'm very familiar with it, and it gives very accurate readings for me. But not everybody likes this deck. And since I wanted to read for other people, I wanted to be able to deliver readings that they could connect with, readings that they weren't reeling away, intuitively tuning out what I had to say based on the imagery for whatever reason, or based on their personal history with some of the images in the deck. For example, religious images and things of that nature. So I was like, okay, I want to get another tarot deck, but maybe I'm not ready. I didn't have like this visual flashing in my brain where I could say, oh, 3 of Pentacles, and I could see the Rider-Waite image in my head. I'm going to actually switch to another card just because for some people the Tower is it's a little scary, you know. So I wanted to be able to see, like, what does the 8 of Pentacles mean when I'm working with my second tarot deck, and I wanted to be able to instantly have an association with the Rider-Waite Smith so I did not get myself confused. So this was my original deck. Okay, I'm just going to move this off to the side because we've already looked at it. So this is the second tarot deck that I got. It was the Everyday Tarot by Bridget Esselmont. You'll notice I've demolished the box. This was like a kindergarten project. I actually love this deck and I hate the box. I think it's one of the worst thought out tarot boxes. And for somebody who's as accomplished in tarot herself, I think that she could have done a much better job on this box. This is cardboard paper that I'm going to have to retape here. I ripped out the plastic box and I made this out of cardstock, and it's been a few years and it's finally starting to take a toll. I usually do that on camera. Some TLC upkeep for my tarot decks or boxes or whatever. So this was her vision for her tarot deck. Working with only 3 colors. It's less distracting, it's less jarring, and there's also no skin tones, okay? They're just people, okay? And for me, this was close enough to the Rider-Waite where it just made sense to me and I could make that association. I liked that it was a small deck, it was easy to handle, and I would use it for readings where they seemed like they were going to be really tough or they had the potential to deliver a very harsh message to the client. And I felt like with the shrunken size, like just coming down into these 3 basic colors, just so you know, this is supposed to be representative of ether, like smoke. That's not a defect. Like I thought it was originally when I got it, and then I did some digging and I was like, okay, it's not a defect. But yeah, this is a deck that's a little stiff. It's hard to shuffle. I used to just put it in a big messy pile to shuffle, and that's how I made do until it broke in. Now that it breaks in, I can shuffle it a lot easier than when I first got it. It was small, and at the time I was still kind of in the broom closet when I got this deck. So I had my original Rider-Waite deck and this deck, and I could easily shove these 2 in my underwear drawer. Now I have my decks all out on display, loud and proud, and the ones that I have not yet unboxed or the ones that I'm not currently working with in my rotation, they're in a big bin, which I call the tarot cellar. So this is only a small collection of decks that I'm showing today. So this is why I chose my second deck, because I needed it to be close enough to the Rider-Waite. Okay, so let's just pick these 4 random cards so you could see. I just want you to see how close the association is to the Rider-Waite. So here's the Ace of Swords from the Rider-Waite, and then Bridget Esselmont's, what is it called? Everyday Tarot. It's pretty darn close. So for me, I was like, yeah, I love it. Okay. Okay, so our next card, the Eight of Pentacles. This dude working on his pentacles, hanging them up. Okay, and then here we have the Eight of Pentacles. Dude working on his pentacles, hanging them up. The body language is very different. He's dressed different, but it's still the same vibe. And for me, like I said, that was close enough. Okay, the next card that we're going to look at is the Five of Wands in the Rider-Waite-Smith and the Five of Wands in Everyday Tarot. So this one is a little bit Marseille-ish, but it's basically the same thing. 5 people fighting with the sticks, the wands. Close enough, okay? And then the Empress, a lot different, but with the flowers here, and then she had the pomegranates in her hair. I was like, okay, close enough. This is very, very stripped of the Empress energy. Okay, so it's, for me, this was like, okay, I'm having to rely on my memory of this card because we don't have the whole Venus symbology here, and there's a lot of stuff that's missing in Everyday Tarot. So it was cards like this that really challenged me to remember what it was, the essence of the card, okay? And I felt like that helped me grow as a tarot reader, having it be a little bit different. So that was the Everyday Tarot. My third deck was actually an Oracle deck, which I'm not going to get into. That was Moonology by Yasmin Boland, okay? We're only talking about tarot. And I'm not going to do this for every deck, okay? Why do you want another tarot deck? Is it because you want to just kind of branch out and experiment? Would you just like another deck in your collection? Do you need a portable deck, something smaller? Or maybe you can't have a deck as big as that. Maybe you are very limited in space, or maybe you're traveling. Okay, maybe you want a smaller one. The coloring is going to be a little bit different, but this is Tarot Original 1909 or Original Tarot 1909. I don't remember which is which, but I'll leave it in the description. But it's the same, slightly different coloring. This is more authentic in coloring to the original one, okay? Small, portable. If you're trying to do a large spread, maybe you have limited space, like I do, that might be a bonus, if you're working with a large spread. Again, if you're working with a client who has a very challenging situation and you want something that's not going to be so intimidating, so jarring for them, maybe working with a smaller size might be something that you're interested in. You can go with a mini deck of your favorite deck. Maybe, like I'm recording this at the end of September, maybe you want a themed tarot deck. And again, I always recommend starting off with the Rider-Waite-Smith, the traditional deck to learn, because that's what so many of the books, the guidebooks, the really good guidebooks, are based on that. So I feel like it helps you gain a deeper understanding, and then you're able to branch out into other decks. But maybe you want a themed deck. Like this one is Diary of Skeleton. This was an indie deck that I purchased from, I don't remember where I purchased this from. I'll leave it in the description, but it might be sold out. I don't know. But I love working with this deck. It's so fun. I use it year round. It's really cute. It's not as scary as it could be. It's perfect for use around Halloween. So that would be a reason to to go with the deck. This is based on Rider-Waite-Smith, but it's not identical. I think my next deck that I got that was tarot after Everyday Tarot was probably the Light Seers Tarot. Why? It was a little bit more modern. I felt like I liked the different color skin tones, like a boho vibe. I felt like I could relate to it more as a yoga instructor. So here's the Five of Wands in the Light Seers Tarot. I really like this deck. So maybe you just want something a little bit different. Maybe you want something more modern. Maybe you want something with people dressed in regular clothes. I feel like this deck is really easy to read if you're an intuitive reader. That's why I went with this deck as my third tarot deck. I used to take this deck with me to the beach, and it got a little bit banged up in my beach bag. I actually still have some sand. It's a little scuffed, but yeah. The cards are in remarkable shape still. Maybe, let's see what is in this one. I don't even know what is in this, but I brought it out. Ah, okay, maybe you want a Halloween deck. Maybe you want a deck for your witches. Maybe you're a little bit witchy. Maybe you're a witch. Okay, maybe this deck is really fun. This deck, for me anyways, it does not sugarcoat. It is sassy. It is a little bit sarcastic when it needs to be. This deck for me is perfect for those people who already know the answer, but they just don't want to face the facts. That's not the only reason I use it, but I love this deck around Halloween time. I love it for my witchier clients, you know, cat lovers. It's just really fun. All of the people in here are cats. Okay. This is by Dame Darcy. I got this from her Etsy channel or her Etsy account. I will leave a link for that in the description. And that's a thicker deck. It's a little bit stiff. So be careful if you get that one when you're shuffling. Let's say you don't want any people in your deck. Maybe people, for whatever reason, you find triggering. Maybe you have clients who find people triggering and you're just like, oh my gosh, what do I use for this person? Maybe Spiritsong Tarot. It's also a deck that I would not hesitate to pull out for a teenager. I do read for children. I know some people don't, but I do. This deck is animal-based. If you have an animal lover sitting across your table, they might really like Spiritsong Tarot. If you have somebody who's into like nature conservation or just get like a really like earthy energy from a particular client, this might be a really good deck for them. I got this deck as a birthday gift from someone I used to know, and I really love this deck. It's a deck that I had looked at for a long time, never made it into my final culling of my shopping cart, and I don't know why. I really like working with it. But this is not going to be based on your Rider-Waite. You're going to have to know your cards, okay? You're going to have to know your meanings before working with a deck like this. Or read intuitively. So this is Spiritsong Tarot by Paulina Fay. Also, people who get imprinted very easily, if they don't want to have something that's jarring or frightening imagery, if they're very sensitive, a deck like this would be really nice, especially if you have, this is becoming more and more common nowadays, if you have clients who have anxiety or if you have clients who have a heart condition. If I know that, I will use a more gentle deck with those clients. Cute Chibi Tarot. Maybe you have a client who's into, I don't even know what this is called, So kind of like, correct me if I'm wrong, like anime, or I don't know, chibis are like cute, chubby, I think, little things. But I had a client and I got this deck specifically for her reading. I guess it's like anime, but it's more like a Marseille deck. It's very minimalistic. I like that there's different skin tones in there. We have the lovers. These are 2 chicks. So it's a little bit of a different vibe than your Rider-Waite. But this is also a fun deck to work with. I do like working with this deck. Cute Chibi Tarot. So I won't go into the specifics of the reading, but the client was obsessed with anime and anime characters. And that's why I was like, you know what? This client is going to hear this message more than likely coming from an anime deck. I didn't have one. So I was like, yeah, let's add an anime deck to our collection. And I also like that it was a little bit witchy vibes, and could also be used around Halloween time or with my witches. Next deck, Dog Tarot. Some of you know I am a dog lover. This book is a piece of junk. I hope you know your meanings. As part of my familiarization process, I do like to go through the guidebook. I don't even know where the other pages are. They're probably sitting with my pile of books that are falling apart that need some TLC. So the deck is great. The book, I wouldn't rely on the guidebook to last very long. But yeah, this is a deck that I got because I'm a dog lover. Also, I got it because I ordered Cat Tarot, but I accidentally purchased a counterfeit deck, and I was really bummed, and I wanted to buy the authentic deck to support the artist and the deck creator. And I saw that Dog Tarot was available, and I was like, oh, okay, let me buy the Dog Tarot. So I ordered this one on pre-order. So that's how this one came into my collection. Because I ordered Cat Tarot, I got a counterfeit, and I still wanted to support the deck creator. Because when you buy a counterfeit deck, the deck creator, the legal copyright owner, does not benefit from that, which I don't think that's fair. So yeah, so if you have a dog lover, if you have an animal lover, if you have somebody who doesn't want people in their deck for whatever reason when they're coming for a reading, this is a really good deck for that. Also great for children, or again, people who are very sensitive, may have a heart condition. This deck is a little bit gentler on them. Really cute deck to work with. I don't think I've used this in a public reading though. I need to. Drop it down below in the comments, whichever deck you want to see me use. And I'll bump it up in my queue of decks I'm going to use in public readings. What's this one? Oh, okay. This one is Black Tarot. I don't remember who the deck creator is because I have it in a bag. The boxes in my box of boxes. So I got this one because one of my tarot friends asked me to review this deck. Jasmine, talking about you. And I thought, yeah, let's do it. So Black Tarot is perfect if you have clients who want to see their own skin tone represented. The only thing that I was not a big fan of on this deck was some of the cards, not all of them. Some of them, it was a little bit difficult to see the contrast on. I would have liked to see them really pop and come to life on the card. And I just felt like some of them were, like the whole color scheme was just a little bit too dark for my liking. But I still like working with this deck. And the people that I have used this deck on were pleasantly surprised. Many of them have asked like, oh my gosh, what deck is that? You know, and they wanted to get it for themselves. So this is Black Tarot. Does not exactly follow the Rider-Waite. You're probably going to feel more comfortable if you go through the guidebook, if you're reading this deck intuitively, and if you know your Rider-Waite meanings. Okay. So again, it just depends. What is your intention? Why do you want another deck? What is your purpose? That's going to really help you to narrow down what kind of deck you add to your collection. Let's see. Let's see what this one is. From the shape of it, I think I know. I think this is Anna K. Ah, there it is, Anna K. So this is a deck. This is the Llewellyn edition. I also have the first edition from the artist, but I did not bring that into this pile. I just have way too many decks to bring all of them in the pile. So yeah, this is the Llewellyn edition. It's out of print, but this one, the reason I brought this one is it's more Rider-Waite Smith based. This deck almost did not make it into my collection, or the other one. So this is a deck that I had in my wish list for years, and I was like, oh, I'll just get it later. I'll just get it later. And all of a sudden, by accident, I found out that this deck was out of print, and I was like, no. So I scoured the internet, and I was able to find this deck at an old, just like a little hole in the wall metaphysical shop, and they had it for the original sticker price. I could not believe it. They had not raised the price, and so I snagged that up immediately. And then I went to see if the first edition was available, and it was through the artist. So I got it through the artist, Anna K. I don't know if that deck is still available or not, but this one is out of print. You will have to go on your own treasure hunt to find the Llewellyn edition of Anna K. Tarot. I really like working with this deck. Becky, my friend Becky, is the one who turned me on to this deck, and I'm so glad she did. There's a difference between the copies. They're different. The artist edition is smaller and the cards are more stiff. And the artist edition, the colors are not as bright and they're not as vibrant. It's a lot more dark. And the artist edition gives a more intense reading, where this one seems, it'll still pack a punch, but its energy is a little bit more cheerful, more hopeful for me anyways. But yeah, this is how this deck ended up in my collection. I panicked, went on a mission, found it, snagged it at the original sticker price. I love this deck. Such a great deck. Because it's out of print, I don't use it as often as I would like to. Speaking of out of print decks, I scored a, I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm just going to say Thoth or Thoth. I don't know. Haven't really made up my mind as to which pronunciation I'm going to use, but I found a greenie, and for years I had debated, like, do I want that deck or not for study purposes? And eventually I decided, yeah, I do want that deck, but I knew I would always be disappointed if I didn't have a greenie. And so I told myself, half believing, or maybe fully believing, that I would never find one for the stipulations I made for myself. I was like, well, only if it's $100 or less, and it's an actual greenie, and the cards are in great shape, then I'll get it. But I didn't believe I would ever find that. And then I found one. I was like, oh, kind of made a promise to myself, and now I feel like it's gotta be like bad karma or something if you break a promise to yourself. So I did end up getting that deck. I really I don't look at it like, some people are like, oh, you have too many decks, you're a deck hoarder. And I say no, I'm a deck conservationist. Okay, so this is a deck that I got for my birthday when I was still a new tarot reader. This deck was way too complicated for me to actually read with in the beginning. But I have since come to love this deck, but I got it because I wanted something that was a little bit more bling bling. It was a gorgeous deck. This is Botticelli Tarot. This is a low Scarabeo deck, and I wanted it for its bling bling. So the artwork is based off of Botticelli's artwork. It's a gorgeous deck. I actually got this deck used from a third generation tarot reader who was moving from California during the lockdown, and she was getting rid of most of her decks. So this was one of the many decks that I got from her. Absolutely gorgeous. Love this deck. Even the back. I've purchased so many decks specifically because I fell in love with the back. This is Botticelli Tarot. It's a really beautiful deck, and at least the last time I checked, it was still in print, so it wasn't that expensive. Okay, let's take a look at another Halloween themed deck. I got this deck specifically for my energy vampire readings. That's not all I use it for now, but that was my intention when I purchased it. And one thing I want to say about this deck is it's really nice to shuffle. I like it. It felt a little weird at first. It kind of threw me off, but it shuffles so nice. I really like the way that feels. So like you can get decks, and I have quite a few that are based on movies or TV characters, or yeah, TV characters. I'm like, wait, what are those? So this is an Insight Editions deck. Love it or hate it. Some people love them, some people hate it. This one is one of their more illustrated decks. They're known for having very pippish minor cards, okay? Where this one seems to be one of their more illustrated decks. So yeah, I was like, oh, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that'll be perfect for people who are dealing with narcissists, energy vampires, stuck in toxic situations, or people who just really love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I used to watch that show when I was younger. I really enjoyed it. So that is how this deck came to be in my collection. Another one without people is Grimalkin's Curious Cats Tarot. This is by M.J. Cullinane. So if you have a cat lover, or if you are a cat lover, you might really enjoy this deck. Because of this deck, I now would like to one day, oh my gosh, what is it called? I can't believe I forgot. It's a really big Maine Coon. Now I'm just like hell-bent on one day having a Maine Coon. They say those cats like the water. I have a surf dog. She doesn't like cats, but I think one day I might own a Maine Coon and try to teach it to surf. But it's because of this deck that I fell in love with Maine Coons. But these cats are adorable. They don't exactly follow the Rider-Waite. I feel like you should know your Rider-Waite meanings before branching into this deck, or be prepared to read intuitively. And there's a few extra cards in this deck, or at least one. I don't really remember how many extras the artist included. But this is also a really fun deck. I'm not a big fan of collage style decks. That's not to say that I don't like this deck or don't like my collage decks that I actually have, but the collage decks are not going to normally be my first go-to for like when I'm shopping for a deck. It's usually, I end up coming across them by accident and like, let me explore this. But it's not my preferred aesthetic. But yeah, this is good. Again, if you don't want to have any people in your deck, or if you have a cat lover, if you're a cat lover, just in a catty mood. I don't mean catty like, just, you know, you just feel like tapping into some cat energy. These cards are a bigger size in your hand. They can be a little bit difficult to shuffle. And in the beginning, I don't remember if these were grippy or not, but I know that these ones tend to jump out at me. That is Grimalkin's Curious Cats Tarot by M.J. Cullinane. Okay, let's move into some Marseille decks. Here we have Squid Cake Marseille Tarot by Jess Roller. This is a mini deck, but it's a little bit more of a chunkier size of mini deck. It's a lot larger than this one. My Tarot Original 1909, but this one's rather on the small side anyway. But the back is really cute. When I got it, I actually hated this deck, to be honest. I don't know why I got it. I got it because it was a signed copy, actually. Yeah, it was a new signed copy. And I was like, okay, let's get it. And I was surfing at the time. And I just bought it on impulse. And when it came in, I was just like, oh, these people are really ugly. I don't like it. And it sat there for a long time. But instead of getting rid of it, I just gave it a chance to grow on me. And I used it in a reading where someone felt stuck. And I was like, okay, let's try it with this deck. And it just fit. The energy was so right. And I loved it ever since then. So that's usually the types of readings that I'll use it in. Stuck energy. Progress is slow. People are feeling stagnant. Or around Halloween time. Teenagers tend to like this deck, and young adults. I've used it with older people too. Not really gushing for or against. People who really comment seem to really like it are my younger adults and the people who feel stuck. It's a really cute deck once you get over the ugliness of of the people. So that is a Marseille Tarot. Squid Cake Marseille Tarot. Let's look at another Marseille Tarot. This was the first Marseille Tarot I got when I wanted to branch out. It took me a while to get used to it, but once I did, I really fell in love with this deck. I thought it would be harder to read with a Marseille Tarot, but because there's no distracting imagery on the card, I find that the Marseille Tarot decks are actually quite talkative. So you be the judge. Some people love them, some people hate them. That is a personal preference, but I really feel like the Marseille allows you to tap into your intuition quite easily once you allow yourself. It's really pretty. And again, I like things that are traditional. I like things that are old-fashioned. So yeah, this deck This deck is one of my favorites for sure. So this one is called Ancient Italian Tarot. It's a low Scarabeo deck. And these little tuck boxes, they never hold up, so I keep it in a bag. Okay, let's look at one more Marseille Tarot, Pot Tarot. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I didn't want to make a long video, but one of the things that I have to do with this deck is I keep a little sticky note. Ooh, my hair's in there. Obligatory tripod bump. I keep a little sticky note in there because sometimes I forget. The ones that I forget are the pipes and the joints. I always forget what's what. So the joints are the wands and the pipes are the swords. Buds, pentacles, that was easy for me. And the bongs being cups, that was easy. But the other two I always forget. So this is a really fun deck. It's lighthearted. It can deliver a really tough message in a way that can usually make your client kind of laugh about it. It doesn't deliver a harsh message, as tough as it can. I like that there's different color skin tones in there. It's not your traditional Marseille for sure, like this is. That's the four of joints, which is like the four of wands. Okay. But this is a really popular deck. I almost didn't get it because I was like, oh, like what if people get offended by Pot Tarot? Like what? I got this deck on pre-order. This is a deck by Peggy Waite. And it's actually one of my most popular unboxing videos on YouTube. People really liked this deck. I have, I know for sure one sample reading with this deck on my YouTube channel. Well, it's not a sample reading. It's just, it's a pick-a-pile reading. But definitely check it out if you want to see how that deck reads. I think it's called Time Traveler or something like that. I did that a long time ago. Let's see. This is a French deck. I got this while shopping for another French deck, and I really like this deck. What is that noise? Oh, that's my candle. What is this called? The Tarot Nouveau or something like that? Tarot Nouveau. I don't know. The book is with my tarot books, but it's very different. It does have a bit of bling bling golding, gold gilding on the edge. So I got suckered into this deck while shopping for another French deck. I think I was shopping for, what is that deck called? I don't know. It's an out of print deck. Well, it was out of print in English, and so I got it in French, and then shortly after they redid it in English. Lumina Tarot. I was shopping for Lumina Tarot, I think. Or Darkwood Tarot. I don't know. I got the Darkwood Tarot in French because I was hoping it was going to be better quality than the English one, but no. I should have got it in English because I think the quality is just as bad, but at least the guidebook would have been in English. And I don't have to translate each page, which is a pain. Because as I said, that's part of my deck familiarization process. Okay, oops, my little beads. That is Tarot, the Tarot Nouveau, I believe. Let's see what this one is. This one, ooh, I really like this deck. Aquarian Tarot. I love this deck. If you don't have this deck, this is pretty Rider-Waite themed. You might want to consider this deck. The coloring is different. I actually didn't like this deck when I first got it. I did a sample reading with it and fell in love with it. I will never get rid of this deck. I do recommend, I do recommend you get the Aquarian Tarot. I got one in a tuck box. I know they have different ones in tins. They have a different one in a 2-part box, I believe. But this, the one that you're looking at here with me, is the one in the tuck box. This one is copyright 2016. Some people really hate when they put the copyright on the cards. I love it because it lets you easily identify which version you're looking at. So this is the 2016 edition from US Games. If you start to collect a lot of decks or you're looking for a specific edition, that can start to be that can start to be very difficult to identify which version you want and which version you're actually looking at from a seller. I don't know how that one got turned around, but okay. Yeah, this is a deck by David Palladini. This is a deck that I had on my wish list for a while, and then it was sitting in my deck cellar for a very long time. I just thought, oh, you know, whatever. Just another Rider-Waite Smith. I'll open that eventually. But when I did, and I finally did that sample reading, I was like kicking myself. Why didn't you open that one sooner? Such a great deck to work with. And it just like taps in effortlessly. Oh my goodness. Some of the readings it does. Wow. Like I couldn't even post some of the readings on YouTube because I think they would just be flagged. It's so accurate. I don't get scared by it, but some people get scared by it. So I think it's great for predictive readings too, which I don't get too much into, because the future can change so easily, but the readings that I have done on really big things, yeah, that deck is something else. What is this deck called? It's supposed to have 2 cards. I don't know where the other card has. I don't know. I'll leave it in the description, and it'll also have. I'll do them by chat, like timestamps. What the name of this one is. But this deck, okay, this is one of those decks that I got from the 3rd generation tarot reader. So I did get this deck used in amazing condition, and I really bonded with this deck right away. This deck used to piss me off though, because when I would read for myself, I was going through yoga teacher training. I was having a difficult time putting myself on camera because you had to put yourself, oh, speaking of the devil, I had a really hard time putting myself on camera because all of my tests had to be recorded, and that's not something I was comfortable with. Plus I had gained a lot of weight, and I had a couple of kung fu injuries that I was healing from, and my yoga was not that great. There was a lot to be desired aesthetically. I would go to record a test and my son would be like, what are you doing? Why do you sound so weird? That's not how you sound. And I just really struggled with it. And this Queen of Wands would always show up, and she would speak in a very sarcastic tone. I say she was mocking me. She showed up in every single reading. I was also not comfortable putting my physical image online because I used to have a stalker for 3.5 years. So that was one of the things that I did, was I physically removed every physical image of myself off the internet. And I just maintained that. I kept my windows shut. And this Queen of Wands kept telling me like, oh, just get over it. He's not there anymore. Suck it up. Just take your test. Yeah, so this deck, oh, there's the other card. There it is. I got mixed in somehow. But this deck shoots it straight. I got it because of all the bling bling gilding. It was really pretty. It reads like my Rider-Waite deck, but for some reason It delivers a more unsugar-coated message. Not that my Rider-Waite speaks to me in a sugar-coated tone, but it's more harsh and it's more blunt. For me anyways, it's a bit sarcastic. So it just comes down to it. You saw quite a few of my suggestions. Why do you want a second deck? What is your intention? What is your purpose? Only you can answer that question. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you soon. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Drop a comment down below letting me know what you would like to see next on my channel. Bye for now, gems.